This is a Brazilian Edelweiss, also called a Sinninja Lucatricia. This plant is just absolutely beautiful. I love those little leaves that look a little bit like lamb's ear. It's just absolutely glorious. This plant is slow growing, lives in soil, but I want to challenge myself. I want to see if I can grow this plant in semi-hydroponics. I want to see if I can grow this plant in Leca. Today, I'm going to show you how I do or don't do that. Keep watching. As I do this demonstration, I'm going to have a few tips and tricks that I think might help this plant actually make the transition from soil to Leca a little bit easier. So make sure you watch the entire video and not miss those tricks. So obviously Codex succulents do not like to be watered all the time. So putting this plant in semi-hydroponics is really going against everything that this plant is supposed to be provided with. But I'm going to try and see if I can come up with a method that allows a plant like this one to live in semi-hydroponics. Let's get started. Of course, the first thing that we're going to do is take this plant out of the soil. Take the tag off because I'm going to need that. Gentle squeeze and well, that is what that looks like. Roots seem quite dry. I haven't watered it since I bought it. So I don't know whether that's what that's supposed to look like. I'm going to take this outside, give it a wash. I'll be right back. Okay. That is what my little plant now looks like with all the organic matter off. Well, maybe not all, most of it off. The roots are actually quite thin. They're quite robust though. That is what we're working with. I've got a small pot there. I've put some additional ventilation holes just to allow my roots to breathe a bit. And I've got this Leca here. It's a very, very small size Leca. It's what I like to call my Italian Leca. This Leca will work really well for a plant like this one that has got tiny, tiny roots. This Leca has been soaking in my Clonix clone solution for about a week now. So it's really, really primed to go. Let's get potting. I'll fill my little pot up a third of the way with Leca. Slightly more than a third, which is fine actually, because I want my Codex to actually sit on top of the Leca. And I'll get my little plant there and I'll try and spread out the roots as much as I can and just have it sitting right there at the top, and I'll fill the rest of that pot up with Leca. That's as much as I want to put in there, but I don't want to cover that Codex up with the Leca. I'm going to pull this up a little bit, pull the plant up a little bit, just hold it ever so gently, pull it up so that Codex comes to the top. And as I'm doing that, I just gently squeeze that pot just to make sure the Leca is taking the space that the Codex was occupying. So that is really the kind of look that I'm going for. I want it to look like that. Now, an extra special tip here. This tray is what I'm actually going to use for my reservoir. I'm going to put a very, very tiny amount. And in fact, if I wasn't so busy, I probably wouldn't even put a reservoir for this plant for now. But because I know I won't get to it, I'm going to put a tiny, tiny reservoir. And that's just going to make sure that this plant is actually not flooded with that nutrient solution. And that reservoir is really just going to keep that Leca moist. That's my Clonix clone solution and root zone solution there. And I'll just put just enough so it's not spilling out of my tray. And I'll put my little plant on a bright, warm spot, and fingers crossed it's not going to explode. I'll show you what it's doing in the next few weeks. 90 days later, this is my Sinninja Lucatricia, my Brazilian Edelweiss, still alive. I am counting this as a soil to Leca transition success. I have transitioned this plant, which is almost like a succulent. I think it is a succulent. I don't know, whatever it is. All I know is this plant does not have any business sitting around in a reservoir with water all around it, because it collects water in the codex, that potato-like item over there. So transitioning it to live in semi-hydro, I think is just really, really awesome. You can see there's a little bit of discoloration on some of those leaves there, but overall, I think this has really, really taken. But the complete icing on the cake is a new shoot. Look at that little baby over there. That is completely new. It wasn't there before. This plant has absolutely understood the assignment. I am so pleased. I am so happy. What was the secret? All I did with this plant, as you remember, is just take the plant out of the soil and put it in that leca. But the thing that really brought this home is the amount of nutrient solution that you have in that reservoir. This is the reservoir for that plant. And I put the nutrient solution on there and that's it. I never give it any more. I let it become completely dry before I put more nutrient solution on there. And I think in limiting the amount of nutrient that this plant has got access to, limiting the amount of water, is what led to this absolute success. I'm really happy with this one. The plant is alive, it's thriving. If you're finding value from this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. So what happens next? It will stay exactly the way it is. I'm not going to change it up to a new pot. It's probably going to stay here for years and years and years. It takes a really long time to get bigger. I don't mind. I'm looking for some flowers. That will be the next validation for me. If she can give me some of those lovely orange tubular-like flowers, that will be absolutely brilliant. And yeah, that's all that is. I'm going to keep transitioning more plants that a lot of people say or think can't live in semi-hydroponics. So stick with me on this channel and watch out for all my adventures. In the spirit of experimentation, go and check out this next video where I took off all the roots of my alocasia and it still thrived. I'll see you there.